بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Tonight, as is well known, will be for questions and answers, inshallah ta'ala. So if the brothers have any questions or concerns or anything, then now is the time to post them, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Questions should come up, if I'm not mistaken. I'll read them for now, Abu Saeed. I'll read them, if you can talk to the brother. Inshallah. Tayyib, are there any questions from the brothers here? From the brothers and sisters here?
Yes, sure.
Fadl always.
Sheikh, a lot of stores have a return policy.
Okay.
Such as Home Depot and Target, and they have very relaxed return policy. And I tend to utilize that to best of my advantage. So sometimes I go return stuff, such as I bought a client last year and they died because I was negligent in taking care of them, but they still have the policy. I took their plan back to them and returned it. Sometimes I buy some tool and I use them. And I tell them, look, I'm going to return it after I use them. They're like, all right, that's our policy. So when I go return them, they ask me, why you return? I don't like it. So, is that something a Muslim shouldn't do?
Clear.
I mean, what would you advise me to do?
Bismillah. The question says, with regards to return policies, with regards to buying something and then returning it to the store, but the store has a very lax, a very simple, basic, carefree policy with regards to returning products. Even if you yourself destroyed it or broke it, or you used it for some time and you took it back. You wore the shirt and you kept on the tag, etc. You opened up the box and you took it back. What is the ruling on this? Should Muslims partake in this, so on and so forth? Like any other question that we try to answer, is going to be an ultimate need of details. Have to have details. There are certain things which no doubt are un-Islamic. And in the Sharia and in the light of the Sunnah are going to be immoral and unethical. Immoral and unethical. Immoral and unethical. In which you yourself broke it, in which you yourself destroyed it, in which you yourself used it in a way in which you just took it back and you played around with the system, so on and so forth. So that's one thing that we say the Muslim should not enjoy this. He should not partake in these things. As far as just the sheer act of them being carefree or easygoing, as long as you have the receipt, you can bring it back. As long as it's not damaged, even though you use it, you can bring it back. And you yourself think that it's a loss, or you're taking their wealth or stealing their wealth, etc., then that's not necessarily haram nor disliked. And that is because of several reasons, Islamic reasons and un-Islamic reasons. As far as the Islamic reasons, then the people of knowledge, the ulama of Islam of the past, they have explained the concept of returning things, being cheated, being frauded, aib, something being wrong with the product, or a person not wanting to keep the deal and keep the contract, but with conditions. With conditions. In brief, we don't have the time to explain this in detail. With regards to al-khiyar, khiyar al-majlis, is mentioned in the kalam ahl al-ilm. With regards to you making an agreement and then you saying, no, never mind, and you're getting out of that agreement. Or they say, raddu sil'ah. Okay, when a person was given something in which he thought it was the opposite, etc. There are rulings on this, what's important, that's what's important. However, so those are some of the Islamic reasons and rulings. As far as the un-Islamic rulings and reasons, then first and foremost, they themselves make it their slogan and their main policy of customer service. And the customer is always right, which we know in Islam isn't true. Someone can be the customer, they can be dead wrong. And you don't have to apologize to give them anything, but they're trying to prove a point of extreme care of the customer service. And we want to make it so easy and so simple, even though you used it or you dropped it, if you bring it back, it's okay. So the wisdom of these things being haram or halal, and you can't do this, is harming harming your Muslim brother, or harming a dhimmi, taking their wealth unjustly and unlawfully. They themselves say it doesn't harm us. It doesn't hurt us. We want you to be pleased and satisfied when you leave this store. We want you to leave this store. We want you to be pleased and satisfied. Okay? Even if you don't buy anything from us, because reputation is everything in business. So they themselves, they're not being harmed and they're not being bothered, and it's not eating their wealth unlawfully and unjustly. Let alone the fact, what do they do with those products when you return them? Oftentimes they're destroyed, and it's illegal for people to take them. How many people starve and die all around the world, and they say you can't return this? Once it's brought back to the store, it's now incinerated. So they're not losing money. They're not wasting money. There is a system that they have, whether you understand it or not, with regards to how they make profit. And you just ask yourself the question now. If a person buys a pair of shoes or sneakers and they're made in Vietnam, okay, or Bangladesh, or Thailand, how is this company, this shoe company, making a profit over a shoe that is constructed thousands of miles from the United States, Abu Hanif? How is that possible? They're making a profit, shipping, logistics. Despite all that, they're still making a what? A huge profit. That goes to show you that their system is what? It's complex and detailed. And there is no loss for them. Whether you understand it or what? Or not. And whether it's Islamically approved and compliant or not. You gotta understand this? So if you break something, that's one thing. Islamically, that's one thing. But push come to shove, they themselves say, we want you to be pleased as a customer. So it's details. Certain things I would advise, take it back. Why not? And certain things I'm say, no, don't do that. And just because Muslims don't do certain things or don't have certain policies, don't mean that they aren't Islamic. As the ulama of Islam say, with regards to the Sharia, and with regards to the ruling of the Taghut, Hukm al-Jahiliyyah, the ulama, they say all rulings of Jahiliyyah or Shirk and Kufr don't go against the Sharia. But the system as a whole is un-Islamic. But there are certain things in which they do which are Islamically compliant. So sometimes yes and sometimes what? No. Sometimes no. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. That's in brief. Are there any other questions from the brothers here? تفضل يا أخي. تفضل. Right. The question is, how much money does a person have to have in which they become liable to pay the zakat? When do they know? How do they know? This is called the nisab. It's called the nisab. And the nisab is a minimum. It's a minimum, not a maximum. A minimum. And that nisab is based off of the things that were used in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, gold and silver. However, today, not too many people use and trade with gold and silver. And we have the dollar bill. So the dollar bill has taken the place of gold and silver. So to keep things brief, the nisab of dollar bills, which is the most common form of paying zakah. There are Muslims who have farms. There are Muslims who pay zakat on jewelry, etc. But most people pay zakat with cash, off of their savings. So therefore, it's going to be based off of the gold market and the silver market. The price of gold and silver goes up. The price in gold and silver goes down. A basic general number for you to have in the bank or stashed away, and it's a yearly savings. It doesn't pertain to your basic bills, your gas, your driving, so on and so forth. Let's say $4,500, $4,500. Rough, that's rough nisab. Give or take a couple of hundred. So therefore, once you have $5,000 for 12 months, you didn't need it. No matter what you're saving that money for, your son to go to college, your son to get married, for you to make hajj, to get married, whatever you're saving that money for, and it's not a part of your daily living, your hustle and bustle on a daily basis, then you must pay rubu al-ushur, 2.5 of that 4,500, of that 5,000, of that 6,000, etc. So it starts off with the nisab, and not a maximum, but a minimum. but a minimum. Everyone clear on this? Inshallah, that's the answer in brief. For the specifics and the details of it, please go back to the workshops that we have done on zakah. We've done workshops on zakah on the channel with regards to how much, when, and how. So in brief, once more, $4,500 you have saved after 12 Islamic months without touching it. It's now mandatory for you to pay zakah, regardless of the reason why you were saving that money. 401k, Hajj, marriage, whatever you're saving that money for. And Allah Azza wa Jal surely knows best. Fadl Ahmed. Question says, I've heard people saying that the modern system of finance is haram. It's haram. Dollar bills and things like this. So if it is haram, why is it still obligatory, etc.? This question, like many other issues today, my young brother Ahmed, there's not a big benefit in answering them. Muslims, they say, or some ask the question, is it permissible for me to migrate to Canada and to take Canadian nationality or citizenship? Can I naturalize in Germany? If someone said it's haram, the ulama of Islam say you can't do this. You can't swear to abide by these rules, by these laws. You can't show loyalty to this non-Muslim state, etc. Would the Muslims refrain from going to Canada? Would the Muslims living in Canada rip up their Canadian passports? Would their original countries allow them back? So oftentimes, many of these issues are going to be purely hypothetical. If it's haram to use paper today, what alternative is there? Obviously, there's cryptocurrency today. Some people, they may live certain lives in which they're far from the city. Husbandry of animals, farming, trading, bartering to make your own things. But that's going to be a very, very vast, small minority. A very vast and small minority. So oftentimes, whether it's halal or haram, it is what it is. The modern world is how the modern world is. Everybody clear on this? So therefore, one may say, since the modern world is the way it is, and this is the mainstay, the staple way of buying and selling, is through currency, tender notes, things like legal tender, then a person pays zakat on those things, even if they're un-Islamic, or even if there's something which is more proper, such as gold and silver. You clear on this or not? At the end of the day, the modern day ulama, obviously we have the turn of the 19th century, the 20th century, the 21st century. Different things took place and happened in the world, okay? And one of the things that took place was the replacement of gold and silver with actual legal tender. And that's why it says on those bills, legal tender, is that if you buy something from someone, sell something to someone, trade with someone, you cannot refuse it and reject it. It's legal tender. You have to accept it. And if you took someone to court, the judge would rule in favor of the one who gave you the bills. You say, I only want gold. I don't want this. Can I do with paper? It's legal tender, meaning what? Abu Hanif, that you have to what? You're bound by it, by the system. So therefore, when paper and bills came on the scene in the world, the ulama, they differed. And some of them, they said that these things do not take the place of gold and silver. With regards to halal, with regards to zakah, with regards to debt. But then after some time, after the years went by, after the Muslim empire, the caliphate, the Muslims, their lands began to crumble and crumble. And people became more and more bent and leaned towards the kuffar and their dominance and superiority. There was no choice anymore. And many of those ulama, they say that these dollar bills, these euros, these pounds, now take the place of gold and silver. Regarding buying, regarding selling, regarding giving a gift, regarding the debt, and regarding zakat, with regards to inheritance, and the list goes on, of anything else which is a material means of wealth. Clear on this? As far as the entire system of finance today, of economics today, that's a long discussion. Debt, slavery, modern day slavery in the form of decimals, modern day slavery in the form of wealth and currency. That's a long discussion. The value, is there value behind the dollar bill? Is there such thing as mint in Federal Reserve Bank? Who makes money? How many dollar bills do they pay? That's a very long discussion, which we can't get into right now. And once you open up that can of worms, it's what? It's no closing it. And Allah Azza wa Jal surely knows best. That's in brief.
Joan in from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. My no food and drink. I work in stockroom, so I don't directly get involved in any transactions which offer insurance, interest, etc. However, I was offered another job with higher pay, but this job is like a grocery store, so it has alcohol, pork, etc. The manager said I don't have to touch the alcohol, only work with other sections and still won't have to serve any customers. What's your opinion on leaving the first job for the second one? I've done istikhara, but need some advice, inshallah.
Question comes from London. And the summary of the question is, I work at a place that sells household items. I just stock things. I don't deal with all of the items. I try to avoid certain things that are haram. I'm going to get a promotion, but the promotion is going to deal with actual food stuff, grocery items. And some of those things may be haram, whether it's the flesh of swine, whether it's non-dhabiha meat, whether it's alcohol, etc. The manager or the supervisor has told me that I can take the job without dealing with those haram things directly, as long as I do other things. What is your advice? I've made the istikhara, etc. That's the gist of the question. The answer to this question is similar to my previous answer with regards to dollar bills and paying zakat. It is the world today. Let's just make it a simple and basic example. We have a supermarket. We have brothers, we have sisters. I have a family. A brother says, a sister says, I have children, I'm a single parent mother, etc. What job can I get in a supermarket? Scenario number one, a brother can be a security guard. He doesn't have to touch pork. He doesn't have to touch alcohol. He doesn't have to shake women's hands. He doesn't have to necessarily be stuck on listening to music, even though the music is just playing in the background. He doesn't have to deal with checks and riba. He's just a security guard. Now, he stands there and he protects the place. Or someone says, I can clean up the supermarket. I can maintain the supermarket. Or brother says, I can be a contractor. I have a contracting job in which I build the shelves or the light fixtures. Or I can actually be the one at the belt, moving the items along. When I see pork, someone else moves them, or I put on a glove, or whatever the case may be. Or I work as a cashier or an accountant, or whatever the case may be. I paint the market outside. The list goes on, the ins and the outs. You work in the stockroom. You deliver the food. You take the products off of the truck. There's several different jobs that men and women can get at a market. Each and every single job and position in this market or this store is critically needed for the market to be open and for the market to be ran successfully. The security guard is no less important than the cashier. The cashier is no less important than the security guard. The security guard is no less important than the one who mops the floor, the one who puts in the light fixtures. Everyone is needed for the supermarket to be ran as an establishment of business. So therefore, if you're not touching pork, if you're not touching alcohol, you're protecting it. If you're not protecting it, you're counting the income from it. If you're not counting the income from it, you're allowing it to be seen with the lights. If you're not putting in the light fixtures, then you're cleaning the floors for people to walk and push their carts. No matter what you do in this place, one way or another, you are involved in the selling of unlawful products. Period. Period. Everybody understand this? A casino. I don't work in the casino. I'm just a security guard. I work in the garage of the casino. Where can the people park their cars and gamble and spend money and drink and alcohol and make zina if there's nowhere to park their cars? So you being on the outside of the casino or the inside of the casino at the end of the day really doesn't make a great what? Difference. Because everyone is needed for this ship to run. Everybody clear on this? Is it sensible or not? So therefore, you're going to have one or two approaches. And we've explained this many times before. Driving cabs, driving Uber. Either it's totally haram, leave it all alone. Or you're going to have detail. Working in the store is permissible. There's some doubtful things, maybe some haram things, but the general job is permissible. Being a security guard, protecting people. I don't condone the consumption of alcohol. I don't condone the certain products that they buy. They buy condoms. There's a store they sell condoms. Condoms can be used for married people. A woman doesn't want to become pregnant. A woman can't become pregnant. She has medical issues. But in most cases, condoms are used for what? Money for most cases. So you're protecting it. You're supporting it directly or indirectly. Everybody understand this? So therefore, taking the lesser of the two harms. A Muslim nowadays, with the current state of the ummah, is between a rock and a hard place. If you go here to this job, you have to shave your beard. If you can keep your beard, you can't make your salats on time. If you can make your salat on time, you have to shake a woman's hand. You have to do this. Where can you go? If you're a cab driver, you can pray on time, you can make Jumu'ah, you can have a beer, you don't have to shake women's hands, you don't have to deal with pork and things, but someone is calling you on Sunday morning and they make an appointment on Saturday night. I want to be picked up at 6 a.m. on Sunday and dropped off at this Episcopal church. You're taking them to worship Jesus and to make shirk. What can you do? You're a bus driver, you're a train driver on Friday night. Everyone's getting on the train or the bus to go where? To go party. What can you do? You work in sanitation. You pick up the garbage of what? Of the church or of the U.S. Army or this bank. And they cannot function when the sanitation goes on what? On strike. It's an entire system. So therefore, one may say, fear Allah to the best of your ability. Minimize the haram dealings as much as you can. I don't directly touch it. I have someone else fill in for me and they stock the pork or they stock the alcohol. But you're still stocking the shelves. You're still security, or you're still driving the truck, you're still driving the car. You can't always determine what people do. Try to fear Allah the best way you know how. And as the ulama of Islam say, pay extra zakah. Give a little bit more than 2.5. Give extra sadaqah. Make istighfar. And ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, allow your wealth to be pure. But in 2018, it's very difficult for there to be 1 dinar that's purely pure. You sell coffee. Where does the coffee come from? It says fair trade. Is it really fair trade? Are the people in Colombia benefiting the peasant farmer who's working for 18 hours out of the day? The peasant farmer who sells his sweat and his back just for a piece of bread and a chicken to put on the table for his family. Is that fair trade? Everybody understand this? This is the modern world today. So oftentimes it's extremely difficult to find something that's 101% unadulterated halal. But that doesn't mean that you just open up the door and go head first. Try to minimize it. Fear Allah to the best of your ability. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you have a hair salon, you don't put in wigs and weaves, you do halal things. But the store has to be what? What does the store have to be? I will say you have to have what on the store? What does it have to be? It has to be insured. Has to be certified. You have to pay this fine, this tax. You have to pay certain things, which may not be Sharia compliant. And if you don't pay those things, then your restaurant or your store will what? Will not be opened. Everybody understand this? And it's haram for us to have fake piety in these issues or to have the lack of depth. This is the world today. And it's not just in America, overseas as well. Over what? Overseas as well. You work in a perfume store. Someone comes in to buy a perfume, a sister covered in black or a woman wearing nothing. Where is your business going to go if you only sell to Muslims and the Muslims don't support each other? The Muslims have different factions. He's my race. I'll support him. He's my race. I won't support him. My orientation, my school of thought, my way, the only people that I support and deal with. This is the reality of the world today. So that's my opinion and that's my advice. If you get a better job and you can make more money to take care of your family better, to perform Hajj and Umrah, to give sadaqah, to spend on the Muslims, and you're trying your best to avoid those halal things, then perhaps that's best. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one who knows.
CA from Toronto. How many rights can a couple compromise? ZA from Toronto. How many rights can a couple compromise and give up to just live together as a couple under Islam for greater goods of the kids, parents, and society, such as no physical contact, some financial obligations, etc.?
Question coming from Toronto with regards to how many rights can be forsaken or compromised for the greater good of people, children, parents, society. No physical contact, I'll pay certain bills, etc. If the question or the questioner is asking about to prevent divorce, then that's one scenario. If the questioner is asking about to make the marriage lawful, then that's a different scenario. Two different scenarios, and they're totally contrasts. Me and my wife, we have children. We do not get along. Her name in my phone is saved under my last nerves. That's the name that comes up on my screen. My name in her phone comes up as him. We're talking what? It's reality. On my phone is him, that guy. The father of my children. That's the name in my wife's phone, and vice versa. We don't like each other. We've been married for years. We've had children. We used to like each other. But Allah knows the last time we've slept with each other. Only Allah knows. I come home. I eat my food. I cut on the TV. I sit. I eat. I go to sleep. That's it. And I go to work the next morning. And her, vice versa. We don't get along. We don't talk with each other. We don't sleep with each other. We are not friends. Everybody understand this? But for the greater good of the children, a separated home, our daughter being confused, where's Abby, where's daddy, so on and so forth, I'm still married to you. I'll take care of the bills, you cook the food, you clean the house, lakum dinukum waliya din. This is a reality. This is one scenario. Another scenario is two people want to be married, but this sister has an STI or STD, an infectious disease or something like this. It's a reality. He really likes the sister, vice versa. They can't have sex. Or they can't have unprotected sex. Or she wants to marry her brother, but he can't provide for her. She has her own money, her own maintenance. Whatever issue you want to deal with. She's sick, she's ill, she has to stay in this state because she has to take care of her grandmother. Whatever the case is. He only sees her once a month or on the weekends. Whatever the case is. It's two different scenarios. So in the first scenario, the ulama of Islam, they say that marriage doesn't have one ruling in Islam. There's no one ruling of talaq, divorce. Rather, divorce sometimes is haram. You can't do it. Sometimes divorce, you must do it. Wajib. It's haram for you not to make talaq. Certain times in Islam, it's recommended to make talaq. You should do it. Divorce her. Or get a divorce from your husband. Other times, it's makruh. You shouldn't do it. Why divorce it? Stay with her. Be patient. Huh? And there are other times which is mubah. It's unprescribed. Do it if you want to. Don't do it if you don't want to. The correct view is that there's no one ruling of talaq. 5 rulings of Islam pertain to talaq. So it's mandatory to divorce your wife if she is unchaste. She's a harlot, a scarlet woman. Divorce her. Can't stay with her. It's mandatory to divorce your wife if the time period has went past and you made the type of divorce called al-ilah. لِلَّذِينَ يُؤْلُونَ مِن نِسَائِهِمْ تَرَبُّصُ أَرْبَعَةِ أَشْهُرٍ. Allah says, for those who make ilah from their women, they should wait 4 months. فَإِنْ فَاءُوا, if they go back, if they return, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all forgiving. He's most merciful. وَإِنْ عَزَمُ الطَّلَاقَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. And if they're decisively determined to divorce, then Allah knows and sees and hears everything, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if a man swears not to have sex with his wife, he swears to avoid his wife, then he has to wait for 4 months. After that 4-month period goes by, he either takes his wife, has intercourse with her, or he must divorce her. In this instance, 4 months have went by. He refuses to sleep with her. It is mandatory for him to do what now? He must make talaq. A recommended talaq. She's not unchaste. He didn't swear and make no type of oath, but he has a great amount of doubt about her chastity, a great amount of doubt. Very, very shady and dodgy, extremely, in which he's being dishonored and shamed. People are gossiping and talking about his bed is defiled and impure. And there's much doubt that he has in his heart, and many things that she does that cause him a great deal of worry. And he doesn't necessarily need her, or vice versa. Then it may be recommended to get divorced in this situation. A woman who refuses to do certain things that are clear, simple, basic, reasonable Islamic rights, it may be recommended to divorce her, the ulama say. And then we have the concept of it being mubah. It is not halal, it's not haram, it's not recommended, it's just permissible. I married a woman, she's a good sister, we can live with each other, but, you know, I just don't want to be married to her. I thought it was different, or, you know, just, I think it's best for us to part ways. I don't oppress you, you don't oppress me, we don't have no children, you can live by yourself, I can live by myself. For one reason or another, you're disappointed in me as a husband or vice versa, we get divorced. Labas. No problem in that. And then it's a time which is disliked to divorce your wife, in which everything is going well, everything is swell, everything's super. She's a good believer, she's pious, she's righteous, she cooks, she cleans, she takes care of the children, she reads the children bedtime stories, everything is great. And you just don't want to be with her no more because you don't want to spend money, or you feel like it's someone else that's more attractive, or whatever the case may be. In this instance, it is disliked to divorce your wife, makruh, but not haram. Last but not least, it's haram to divorce your wife when she is menstruating. It's haram to divorce her when she's menstruating. It's haram to divorce her after a major argument that you just got in and you had sex with her 30 minutes ago. You're laying in the bed, her phone rings, you see something on her phone, whatever the case may be, you get into a major argument. You say, you know, you're divorced. And you didn't make ghusl yet. You're still junub, she's still junub. It's haram to divorce your wife until she is back on her menstrual cycle and then off of her menstrual cycle. Then you're allowed to divorce her. Does the talaq of bid'ah count or not? That's not the discussion right now. That's not what? It's not the discussion. Talaq of bid'ah is to divorce your wife and she's menstruating, or divorce your wife and she's in a pure state. Whether you had intercourse with her 30 minutes ago, or whether you had intercourse with her 3 days ago and she's still making salat. She's not menstruating yet. Listen carefully. She's still in a pure state. You cannot divorce her and you had intercourse with her because she may be pregnant. She has to leave the pure state. Her mens came today. I'm no longer making salat. And then the 6 days of menstruation, the 5 days go, she makes a ghusl, and she's now making salat again. You can have intercourse with her again now. Now it's permissible for you to divorce her. So these are the 5 rulings of a talaq. Certain times it's recommended to get divorced or obligatory to get divorced. And oftentimes the first scenario is what? You think that you staying with this woman or this man is going to be good for your kids. But it's the opposite. As the wise people say, one often what? And one often meets his destiny on the road in which he takes to avoid it. One often encounters his destiny, his fate, on the path that you take to avoid it. So I'm trying to keep my children together, mentally sound, husband and wife, one household. But all we do is fight and argue and throw things at each other or curse at each other. You're fat, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, you're dumb, you're an evil sinner. There's all my kids here. What good is it for the kids to be in this environment? Or they see Abby come home, he drops his toolbox, he takes off his work boots, he goes for the refrigerator, he plays with the kids, and Umi's up the steps asleep every single night. She makes the breakfast she's left on the table every single day. What good is it for the children to see this? That is just as harmful and detrimental to the children as you being separated and having a single parent home. Everyone understand this? Everybody understand this? One often meets his fate on a path in which he what? Takes to avoid it. You're trying to avoid messing up your kids. But by staying with this woman or staying with this man, you're messing up your children. And the experts of child psychology, the experts, the people who have degrees, doctors, they say that oftentimes a single parent home or a split home or a shared home is more beneficial for children. Just as it comes with harms, it comes with benefits. And from those benefits, it gives the children an expiated maturity. It allows them to see life and the reality of life at an early age. And it develops their personalities faster, and they can choose and they can see clearly. This is Abby's house, and this is Umi's house. This is good, this is Islamic, this is not good, this is un-Islamic. Sometimes it's a benefit for them. And of course, there are harms in that as well. Stepfather, stepmom, she's mean to the children. He molests your daughter. Waliyadhu billah. That's a reality. It can happen. Them having to move from this city, this town. But there are many what? Many benefits as well. So your children living in a household that is totally sick and un-Islamic. The marriage is ill. It's on its deathbed. It's on its last leg. It's unhealthy for children to experience that. Cursing at your wife, she cursing at you. You disrespecting her, she disrespect you. You smack her, you beat her up. You don't have intercourse with her. You never sleep with your wife ever. What impression is that going to leave on the minds of your little daughter and son? Men and women can live with each other without sleeping with each other. That's unhealthy. So if that's what you mean, then perhaps it's best to get separated. As far as if you mean we want to get married, we want to be lawful for each other, but it's unconventional, then that's a different story. You can waiver certain rights. You can waiver certain what? Certain rights. A woman says, you don't have to be with me every night. Just come see me 3 days out of the week. Tell you. You don't have to pay my rent and all of my bills. Just take care of the gas and the electric. Tell you. You don't have to give me no money at all. I just want you to be my husband and be there for me. I want to be able to go out and have dinner and to be taken out by my husband. I want to have a companion, a friend, a sister. She says, I'll marry a brother who's locked up for 20 years. He has life in prison. I don't need intercourse. I don't need money, but I need companionship. I want to write him letters. He writes me letters. I visit him. He sends me, why could that? Only Allah knows. When someone is lonely and heartbroken, Everybody understand this? As the wise man once said, he says, one warm word can cool 2 cold winters. One warm word can warm what? 2 cold winters. A nice word that you make to someone can give them peace of mind, can give them rest, knowing that there's someone out there who loves me and I love him. I'm not with him, she's not with me, but we love each other and we talk and we correspond. Everybody understand this? So there's wisdom in this. There's wisdom in this. But make sure that you're willing to deal with this type of lifestyle. Make sure that you have the type of sabr to deal with this lifestyle. And don't quit later on, it's too much. I married him, he's in jail, but I can't do it anymore. He may not come home in January. It's too hard. You have to be mature. You have to be patient to deal with this type of what? Lifestyle. Everybody clear on this or not? With this type of lifestyle. So whatever the scenario is, that's my humble opinion with regards to either of those 2 scenarios. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.
Omar Hassan from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Is it permissible to shave parts of the facial hair that is closer to the eyes and nose to make a straight and sharp cheekbone?
Question says, coming from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is it permissible to shave certain parts of the face closer to the eyes and to the nose and have a sharp cheek line or shape up on your beard? There are 2 different issues now mentioned in this question. The first issue is taking hair off of a man's face, period. Whatever that hair is, eyebrows, eyelashes, this, that, face. Because one may say, I have a lot of hair, I'm very hairy. And the hair becomes unsightly. Hair out of my nose, hair all the way up to my cheeks, nearly connecting to my eyes. That's one reason. That's not the same as someone saying, I want my beard to be shaped up. I want to look sharp. I want it to be nice and tailored. It's 2 different issues now. 2 different Islamic rulings pertaining to necessity, need, and pertaining to a want and a style and a desire. As we mentioned last week in Masjid Taqwa, with regards to cosmetic surgery, getting your teeth augmented. Everybody understand this? You have abnormal teeth. That's one thing. It's not the same as I want to get it done so I can have a nice smile or a better smile. To be cosmetic. Everybody understand this? It's 2 differences. So it's two different issues. Everybody clear this or not? So therefore, the ulama of Islam, they say that the word lihya, the beard, and the tongue of the Arabs composes of the following things. Number 1 is the chin. Number 2, al-aridan, al-aridain, the jawbone. And number 3, they say al-khaddain, the cheeks. This is the lihya in Arabic. This is the thing that the Prophet ﷺ said, don't cut, leave and let grow. So we have the chin, the jawbone, and the khad. This is a cheek. Khad. So the question is, this here, is this not what? It's not cheek. It says high cheekbones. This is a cheek. Where does the cheek begin and end and stop? Everybody clear on this or not? When you get a shape up, are you not shaving and trimming and cutting off of the cheek? You are. So therefore, my advice is to leave the hair on the face. Leave it. As far as if it's all the way up to your eyes, obviously I can't relate to this. It's out of control, quote unquote, then that's a different story. Perhaps that's a what? Different story. But if I had a full beard myself, I wouldn't get it shaped up. And I would consider it to be more handsome, more natural, and closer to the sunnah by letting it be natural without it getting shaped up. But it doesn't mean that it's haram. It doesn't mean that. That's my opinion based off of what I've studied. Is that's from the hair of the face. Going up to the eyes, the nose, perhaps that's a different story. Perhaps that's what? Perhaps that's a different story. But this here, I would consider this to be a part of the lihya. I would consider that to be a part of the lihya. And natural is beautiful. Natural is beautiful, huh? Natural is beautiful. However, there lies no doubt for a brother to get his beard shaped up is better than get it cut. For a brother to cut his beard is better than shaving his beard. There are levels. There are what? There are levels. And oftentimes there's a lot of pressure that people will have to go through and face because of having a full beard. Being harassed, being bothered, being discriminated against. People looking at you like you're a terrorist. Or they say, why are you walking around looking like Jesus? Are you some holy saint or monk? Everybody understand this? Or unfortunately, there's some women who complain about their husband's beards. I don't want you to have a full beard. Can you trim it? Can you shave it? Can you shape it up? Can you look handsome? It scratches me. How can you sleep with me and your beard is all over the place? Muslim women talk like this, unfortunately. So you got to make sure that you're married to a Muslim woman who's on the sunnah like you're trying to be on the sunnah. And her values are your values. I want you to wear these tight pants or these short shorts. No. She wants you to dress in a modest Islamic way, whether it's pants or thobe or whatever the case may be. So you have to be with someone who's compatible for you. So therefore, I wouldn't advise to shape up the beard, nor would I advise someone to trim the beard, to fluff it. No. Let it grow and leave it be. The only thing, and Allah knows best, that I feel is valid issue of khilaf is the qabda. The hair that exceeds the fistful. That's a discussion which could go either way. Shaving it, trimming it, doing this, so on and so forth, I don't think that's correct at all. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.
Two-part question from UK, Newcastle, UK. Mustafa asks, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How does someone memorize hadith efficiently and retain them? And also, how can a student of knowledge build his library?
Question comes from Newcastle, UK.
Newcastle.
How can a student of knowledge memorize hadiths and retain them efficiently? And how do you build your library? Obviously, you all know what I'm about to say. We've spoken on this, what? Many, many times in many, many lectures. And perhaps we need to speak on it again and maybe make more videos specifically to these two topics. Please go back to the playlist on how to memorize, how to read, and how to understand. We completed the entire book of Sheikh As-Sadhan with regards to these three tiers. The bread and the butter of the student of knowledge. Reading, memorizing, and understanding. Everybody understand this? Please go back to that. We've explained that. With regards to the appropriate time, the appropriate place, and with regards to the inappropriate time and the inappropriate, there's no such thing as reading time. There's no such thing. There's time to sleep, there's time to eat, there's time to socialize, there's time to work out, but there's no time to read. Everybody understand this? My brother says, I see you reading a Kindle. Do you have Kindle for your pleasure of reading? I said, there's no such thing as pleasure of reading. I find pleasure in anything that I read. Anything that I read. Anything can have some type of pleasure in it. Everybody understand this? If I'm reading English, if I'm reading a worldly book or whatever, it is going to be translated into Islam, one way or another. And not like the short-sighted people say or think, oh, you can't read no books unless they're Arabic. Or you can't read books unless they're Islamic. Or as one noble brother said, when I shared with the people, I said I like to read books, whether they're novels or other books. I didn't say anything about fiction. Abu Hanif, I never said they were fiction. I said novels. Autobiography. It could be a historically accurate novel. And the brother said, oh, why would he tell that to the people? Why would he say this to the people? Of course he didn't say this in my face. I got this from a third person, from a fourth, from a fifth. He said, why would you say this to people? Why wouldn't I say this to the people? What is haram about reading a book or a novel? History, facts, science, all types of things which are Islamically connected and related, let alone if I read them, I'm going to translate them into what? The Islamic sense. A khutbah title, a wise statement, a quote, an experience, a story, and the list goes on. And the list what? And the list goes on. So therefore, with regards to reading things, memorizing things, understanding things, there is no such thing as time to memorize. Memorize all of the time. Read what? All of the time. Read when you're walking, when you're lying, when you're sitting, whatever you do, have a what? Pocketbook. All of the what? All of the time. Everybody understand this or not? When I was younger, I think it was when I first got to Yemen, and Allah knows best, I read a narration of one of the Salaf al-Salih, and it was said about this person that he never was seen without a book. That he was never seen without a book. Before I read this athar, I would carry around books myself, and I would read books all of the time, alhamdulillah. But once I read that, I made it my ultimate determination to always have a piece of reading material with me 24/7, all of the time. And I'm not saying this boasting and bragging. I'm saying this to prove a point. And those brothers who know me for some years, they know that I'm not making this up. An iPad, a book, something you're not going to see me with. If I go to sleep, there's going to be something near my pillow. iPad, a tablet, a book with a book light, a light wedge. In my bathroom, wherever you go, there's going to be some type of reading material. Everybody understand this? And that is to get your mind in the mentality of read, and read more. Read forever. Always read. Hours of sleep? Naam. I don't spend more than this time to eat? Naam. There's no such thing as reading time. So that was one of the points that was mentioned in that book of Sheikh As-Sadhan about time to read. And we said we don't agree with the author in that. With all due respect, we don't agree with it. There's no such thing as what? Reading. Certain types of reading, reading for research, perhaps. Certain locations, perhaps. But the general concept of reading, that's what? All of the time. That's what? That's all of the time. Everybody understand this or not? That's all of the time. So go back to that playlist with regards to repetition, with regards to writing things down, with regards to teaching people. These are ways of effectively maintaining and retaining what you have memorized. Fine. As far as building your library, then there are different ways of building your library. One way of building your library is based off of your financial situation. How much money do you have? Are you wealthy? Are you affluent? Do you have money? You have a very good family or you have a good business? If you don't have no limits, then buy everything. Go totally extreme. Buy kullu shay, everything. Buy whatever books you can get your hands on. If there's no limit on how much space you have, I have an entire house filled with books. Alhamdulillah. That's what you should do. Buy every tafsir, every sharh of Bukhari, every book of fiqh, kullu shay, buy it. Why not? As far as if you don't have this type of affluency, your wealth is restricted, then you have to prioritize. And there are two main ways of prioritizing. The first main way of prioritizing is to start off with one genre. Start off with one section and spend some money and some time on that. So one is going to say, I'm going to spend, this is an example, 100 pounds a year. Rough example, 200 pounds a year for 1 year just on books of tafsir. Just on books of tafsir. For 1 whole year, I'm going to spend this money just on books of what? Tafsir. Then the next year, I'm going to spend 200 pounds for 12 months just on books of hadith. And the third year is fiqh, the fourth year is kutub of iman and tawheed, wa hakadha. It's one way of doing it. Or if not a year, a month. A month. I'm going to spend $50 a month just on books. And it's only going to be on tafsir. Everybody understand this? Another way of doing it is to buy the most important books of every genre at one time. So I have $500 to spend. 200 is going to go to Tafsir Tabari. 100 is going to go on Fath al-Bari. $50 is going to go on this main fiqh book, wa hakadha. And then the next time you get a chunk of money or your stipend or whatever you're using to spend to buy books, you'll do the next wave of books, starting with Qurtubi, Sharh Sahih Muslim, this main fiqh book, this main aqidah book, wa hakadha. And then 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, those waves, and then you have a considerable library now. And you have the most important main books, starting from the classic, most important, up to the modern. Everybody understand this? And then this goes on for a week. It goes on for 2 weeks. It goes on for a month, for a year, 10 years, and then you build your library. Last but not least is, another issue is that once you've purchased the main books, you have the main books, you have a good, formidable library, now it may be time to focus on one genre or to focus on one field of expertise. So if you're a student of knowledge, you've studied in Egypt, you've learned tajweed, you've learned your aqidah, you've learned hadith, you've learned fiqh, but you want to focus on Arabic poetry and Arabic literature. After you have the main books and a little bit more, one may say, I'm not going to spend no money except on books of Arabic poetry. You've now become a connoisseur on these books. You travel, you order things, you ship things for rare books just on what? Arabic poetry or books of hadith or whatever the case may be. These are all methods of building one's what? Building one's library. A very important tip, and perhaps it's the last thing I'll share with you, is that when I was overseas in Medina, alhamdulillah, I would make it my habit every single day to go to a library every day. Whether it was the library in the College of Hadith, whether it was the library in the Prophet's Masjid, whether it was the library in the College of Sharia, whether it was a bookstore, every single day. If I didn't have a project or an assignment, just walk around the library. Just walk around the library. Walk around. Observe. Don't ask no questions. Don't speak to the librarian. Just look. And then you get familiar with books. And you see the best print, this edited version, this tahqiq, this one, this supplement. You do this for some time and you know what books to buy. And then after you do this, it becomes instinctive. When you go to the bookstore, that's the version. That's the print. No, get this one. This is better. Get this book. What's a good book on Sarf? That one, because I saw it in a library in the College of Lugha. They specialize in Arabic language, so it's not going to be a corny book if they have it. Everybody understand this? So it's very important to visit libraries. And oftentimes, you don't need to write down titles. You don't need to make a list. Just observe with your eyes. And last but not least, of course, you have to have a natural knack for it. You have to have a nose for books. And that's something that's a natural talent. That can be honed and increased, but it's something that's natural. And Allah Azza wa Jalla truly knows best. Some brothers are just naturally good at fashion. They're just naturally good at coordinating. Their socks, their shirt is perfect. And there's some brothers who don't care what they look like. And even when they try to have fashion, they still what? Still fail or make blunders. And Allah knows best. Are there any other questions for tonight? If not, we'll stop.
Yes. I don't know. You want to take one more?
Fadal. Fadal, Abu Hanif. You just started again, inshallah.
My bad.
It happens. Fadal. I'll upload the audio, inshallah.
Recording?
Fadal.
It's a two-part question also. From Bowie, Maryland. Arba asks, Sheikh Mufti, which green tea is good for the memory or grain to aid in memorization? Please specify. And also, they ask about which is the best shop for Riyadh al-Salihin that you would recommend.
Tight. Question comes from Bowie, Maryland, with regards to what's the best green tea to drink with regards to memory. Please specify, and what's the best sharh of Riyadh al-Salihin that you would recommend or advise with. As far as the question about tea, then it's difficult to say one type of tea, whether it's green or not. It's difficult. Tea in general has benefits in it, whether they're antioxidants or whatever the benefit from tea may be. That's generally shared all around the board. White tea, jasmine tea, green tea, black tea, Ceylon tea, all different types of teas, colors and styles and variations in general. The general rule that I would give or advice that I would give is to make sure that it is a high grade of tea. That's what's more important than the actual type. So when you talk about green tea, you may buy a big box of green tea, which has 64 bags, and it's $1.99. It's $1.99. So you get 64 bags of green tea for $2, something's wrong. It's going to taste good, it's going to taste okay, but the quality of it, the super Imam al-Bukhari memorization powers, you're not getting for $2. Everybody, you're not getting what? Rather, anytime you buy tea in such a big, large package, something's wrong. And that's because the bigger the package of tea, the more susceptible it is to becoming stale. You have 100 bags of tea. You have a restaurant, you're serving people, you have a dinner or a banquet, that's a different story. But for personal use, that means that that tea is going to sit in your kitchen for what? How fresh can it possibly be? So when it comes to any tea, let alone green tea, it's like olive oil. It's like honey. There is no cheap, good olive oil. There is no cost-efficient quality what? Olive oil. That's why Sicilians say that olive oil in America is water. They say it's what? It says water. They have no respect for it. It's cut. It's watered down. It's not real. There's no cheap olive oil. Now, if you have a budget, it's better than corn oil or vegetable oil or this and that. You can buy something in the middle, la best. Or even a low grade for the specific taste that you want. But it is not, what? The real deal olive oil. That's something that you're going to have to pay a little bit of money for to get that quality. And that same applies to honey and many other things as well. You get what you pay for. You get what? What you pay for. So if you're buying tea the first thing you should look at, whether it's green tea or white tea, is the cost. It doesn't have to cost you $100 or $50, but the starting price, $10, $14, $8, and it's not going to be a big, huge box. It's going to be a small, compact pack for freshness. You may buy a couple of ounces of tea, and it may cost you $10. But know for sure that the tea, inshallah, you're going to get is good quality tea, grade A, premium. And what's meant by grade A or premium is that the tea is collected from the field and it's then brought to the plant, the processing plant, whether they roast it or cook it, whatever they do with the tea. This tea that was picked, it's okay. This one that the farmer picked, it's much better. And the third type is the best of the best in the whole basket. That's here. That's grade A, the top premium quality of the product. So when it comes to green tea, that's the kind of tea that you want to get, bid'Illahi ta'ala, to maximize all of the benefits that come from tea in general, let alone green tea. There is no one type of brand or flavor or variation. It could be jasmine, dragon, pearl. It could be white tea mixed with green tea. It could be oolong. Everybody understand this? It could be roasted rice tea. It could be sencha tea, different types. Japanese, Chinese, different types. What's important is the quality of the tea. After the quality of the tea is your method of preparation. How do you prepare tea? Do you make green tea with water that's boiling or water that's semi-boiling? If you boil the water, it's a potential that you have to burn the tea. If the water isn't hot enough, it's a potential for your pearls or your pellets of green tea will not be fully what? Infused. What you make the tea in? You make it in metal or you make it in wood or glass? What do you stir it with? A wooden ladle or a metal spoon? You put sugar in the tea, honey, a big clump of honey, or you leave the tea naturally. All of these things vary in how your tea comes out. Whether it's white tea, green tea, or any other type of tea. Everybody understand this or not? So that's in brief. How you buy it, how you prepare it, and often your body being accustomed to it, and when you choose to drink it. Everybody understand this or not? As far as the best sharh of Riyadh al-Salihin, then that's a difficult question. There are many different shuruhat today. A simple sharh, which is very beneficial, thorough, that I would recommend for students of knowledge, is the sharh of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, which is complete, walillahil hamd. There are other explanations that are bigger and smaller that came before Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen and after him, which are very beneficial as well. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.